Nobody here yet. We're about 3 minutes in, which means it's time for that, right? Oh, come on now. It's like blinking out of the screen. It's time for Angry Orchard. Yes, my friends, this is my little special trick that I do with my titanium wedding ring, which my buddy Manny Pollard taught me. Thanks, Manny. All right. See that right there? That indeed did just happen. I'm also impressed when I saw Manny do that. And I said, all right, you got to teach me how to do that, right? Open a bottle with your wedding ring. He showed me how. And, for the first 50 times that I did it, my hand would like tremble and my finger would get these crazy indents in it. But now I got all the proper calluses in place and it looks easy. Still hurts every time though, just so you know. So today's session is actually sponsored by Angry Orchard. Angry Orchard hard cider is the sponsor for today's event. It's not really true. They're the unofficial sponsor. They don't actually know that they're the sponsor of today's book club, which has one person.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, Richard, good to see you, brother.
You too. Mine's being sponsored by Hecho en Mexico, Coca-Cola en la botella. So that's what mine's being sponsored by.
Yeah. The first 3 minutes of nobody showing up drove me to drink. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Sounds good. Is this your first time? Is this the first one?
Second one.
Okay.
Second one. The first one we did was on the Go Giver.
Okay.
Yeah. And so 6 Types of Working Genius is my number 2. And I'm still working to get momentum. I had 2 people cancel last minute who were actually on the last one. So that means it may just be me and you, which means we may talk a little bit about the book and then break.
That'll work.
Oh.
That'll work. I just posted, I made a LinkedIn post. Nobody has seen it because I broke some rules in a test.
Yeah.
But it was in there was the Go Giver, and I got Bob Berg to respond to the post.
Yeah.
Here, I'm going to share my screen. I know we're recording, but here is. Oh, can you let me share my screen? I want to share.
Yeah, 100%. And if you want me to stop recording, just let me know.
No, we're good because the audience will be interested too. It's about books.
Okay. You should be able to share now.
Perfect. So I made this post go live a few minutes ago. This is my reading list so far this year that I've been able to successfully complete. And the Go Giver's right there in the middle. And I got a nice comment from Bob. There's Bob commenting on it.
Yeah, Bob's amazing. He's the most positive person maybe that I've ever met. And I'm serious about that. Like,
right.
Just so kind, no matter what.
Now, here's what's interesting. I broke some rules on this LinkedIn post, and we've talked about LinkedIn because I made another post less than 24 hours ago. I remember I don't know if you've ever heard me say, you only get about 1 post a day.
Yeah.
I've had 29 people view this in the last hour. Normally I would be at 500 to 600 people viewing it in that same amount of time.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, but I put that post out because his book was in there. I'm about halfway through the one that you've recommended that you sent me. So that's the one we're talking about today.
Yeah. And what's the rule you broke? You only
get 1 post a day on LinkedIn.
Really?
Yep.
Man, I'm usually posting twice, sometimes 3 times in a day.
Yeah. And LinkedIn's hiding those posts from most of your audience.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems like they just don't seem to get that kind of engagement. Yeah, that's correct. Because
I've noticed that. Yeah.
Because LinkedIn, when you make a post go live, we're supposed to be talking about a book. I have a book coming out. It's about LinkedIn. Maybe that's what we talk about.
We can talk about that too. Yeah.
But what you've got is, you know what? Hang on. Right here. The most amazing marketing book ever, written by Mark Schaefer and 30 plus other authors, including me. Chapter 16 is on hacking the LinkedIn algorithm. One
Yeah.
of the things about hacking the LinkedIn algorithm is when a post goes live, LinkedIn tests it. There's there's 3 test periods. The first 90 minutes, the next 8 hours, and the next 24 hours. In that time period, as it's testing, if you post another post, it will usually suppress that post from the vast majority, sometimes up to 90 to 95% of your audience will not see the second post
Wow.
because it's still testing the first one.
Yeah.
So I put out a post yesterday.
Yeah.
It's approaching 5,000 impressions so far in the first 24 hours. But within that window, I made this second post and I
Yeah.
broke other rules. When you tag an individual in a LinkedIn post and they don't respond
You didn't even respond. Yeah.
you get penalized. I tagged 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I tagged 11 people, 12 people in that post
Yeah.
and 3 of them have responded.
Yeah.
Wendy responded, Jonathan responded. But the point was, LinkedIn sees me spamming people with those tags. And it's like, look, if that individual who you mentioned in the post doesn't even show enough interest to come and engage with you,
You're in
then
trouble.
the content can't be that interesting. If even the
Yeah.
person you talked about doesn't find it interesting, thereby LinkedIn suppresses your post even more. So those were some of the rules that I broke.
Yeah.
But we're always testing. And this is one of my tests, although I'm really pleased with the post because I read all those books this year. I was really proud of it.
That's the thing, right? And is that a bad thing for you to get that out to your tightly knit audience of people that would care? Like when I see that, I'm going to care, right? Because
Yeah, but you're not going to see it.
I'm just not even going to see it.
LinkedIn's going to hide it from 99.9% of my audience will not see
I hit
it.
the bell though. I hit the bell for you.
Oh, if you hit the bell, then you probably will see it.
Yeah. Your
Actually,
bell.
do me a favor. Just go into your LinkedIn, see if you got a notification that Richard Bliss made a post. Let's just see it. You don't have to share it, but
Sure I did. Let me go and check that out.
just go to notifications and see if Richard Bliss made a post, because the bell is still being tested as well to see if it's hit and miss.
Yeah, so let's see here. Well, how long ago was that?
An hour.
An hour ago? Dang, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there you go. Whether Richard Bliss posted, whether hosting a podcast or interviewing industry thought
No,
leaders.
that's the one from yesterday. That's the one from yesterday.
Okay. Then today, no, man.
No.
I'm not seeing it. That's crazy.
Right. So you're not seeing 100% of my content because LinkedIn's like, no. You used up your quota for the first 24 hours. So we're just going to hold off.
Even though I hit the bell.
Yeah. So it's not 100% of the content. Yeah.
That's not cool.
No.
It's fine. But that makes me sad because that's the kind of thing that I'll jump all over that. Like
right.
Dog on a bone. I'll see a stack of books. I'm the book guy.
Right. I might repost it later without tagging anyone to see what happens. So I'm watching this one carefully. It's been interesting. So it's I'm just pleased, it's my halfway through the year, how we doing this year type post.
Yeah.
So what drew you to the book that we're talking about today, The 6 Types of Working Genius? What drew you to that?
All right. So on the surface, are you familiar with Lencioni's work?
Sure.
So 6 types of the 6 dysfunctions of a team, is it?
Yeah. I think I have that one.
Yeah.
We've got the CEO. What do we got here? We've got the 5 temptations of the CEO. I have that one.
The Advantage is him too.
Yeah. The dysfunctions of a team, 5. I've got that one. Let's see what else I've got here. Getting Naked. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Because partly it's set here in the San Francisco Bay Area, Monterey Bay, which is where I live. Yeah. So familiar with a lot of his books.
Okay. So, he does the parable style, right?
Yeah.
Like parable style. And I know that that's hard for some people. The parable style is hard because it's like, how do I connect with a fictional character the same as I connect?
Because it's 2 types of writing. You're writing fiction and business.
Yeah.
It's a tough sell.
Yeah. So, but I can tell you that the book, I think, accurately diagnoses something that no book that I've ever seen before does.
What's that?
Which is taking the personality framework, which is I think has been beneficial to a lot of people in terms of understanding themselves.
Right.
and then applying that to how work gets done, right? Applying that to how those different, like the cogs that he has, right? The 6 cogs that drive each other towards a result. I haven't heard anyone doing that before.
Yeah.
So I think he's right. Now he's slow getting there because he is such a descriptive writer, and he wants to go through story, and you can get the nuggets out of it. You know, it doesn't take a whole book to get the nuggets out.
No, it doesn't. And what is nice is he's made most of the chapters 1 or 2 pages.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh, okay. And then you can kind of skim and pick up the story, pick up the story. So the narrative is useful. So then when you get to and you were talking about the cogs, and those are those, where's my camera? Those are those cogs that allow that to do it. Now I did enjoy page 25.
Yeah.
Page 25 was blissful ignorance. But that's only because it's personal.
Because you've experienced that before.
Right. I've experienced that. Wedded bliss. Bliss is ignorant. That's usually what I hear. Bliss is ignorant. Not ignorant.
Yeah. Your team's willing to joke with you like they joke with Bull. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I had a public speaker once, I was doing a public speak that I was watching on television. And he said, I'm here to tell you, he was talking about marital relationships.
Yeah.
And that marital relationships are always not full of bliss. And then he said, I'm here to tell you, bliss is not normal.
Yeah.
My phone rings. Within seconds, my phone rings. I answer it. See, even he knows you're not normal. And they hang up.
You're doing something right if people can just ring you up and tell you that and hang up.
They didn't even, I knew who it was. But like, look, he even said you're not normal.
Yeah.
And hung up within seconds of it on television. It was like, yeah, all right, we got that.
So have you seen this in your team? Have you seen, I mean, I've definitely seen that. There's another reason, actually, I'll go into later.
Sure.
This is personal to me. I'm writing a book that's in the same vein that actually I've been writing since before this book came out. And so there's actually some overlap between what he's trying to do in his book and what I'm doing in my book. So that makes it personally exhilarating to read a book where it came to some of the same conclusions that I came to about people and work. So
since I'm only less than halfway through, why don't you identify the things that you're finding so that if anybody's ever listening to us talk about it, they can hear what you're referring to.
Sure. So he says that work has 3 stages, right? And the 3 stages he calls ideation. Oh gosh, what's like the last one is execution. And the middle one is, that's where discernment is. Oh gosh, man, I should know this. Ideation, activation, execution. Now, not great terminology. Great terminology, great framework, right? Ideation is ideas, right? Now I had created a framework. My framework is very similar. I'd say parallel to his: vision, direction, execution is how I see it, right?
So just so you know, so those words and the way he's using them come out of the Clifton Strength Finders model.
Really?
Those are the exact words and exact. Yes. And that's what he's doing is he's taking the Cliftons, putting it into a parable, and now showing you practical application. So yes, I have seen this in my team.
Yeah.
I have had all of my team. I paid for the full Clifton Strength Finders assessment, and it gives you 32 or 34 criteria, and it puts them in ranking. And then they fall into those categories, basically the whole ideation, the activation and execution. And then there's one other that I can't quite remember, and I'll be looking up here.
Okay.
So what I've done is I've taken my whole team, and then I compare their top 5 or top 10 attributes and where they fit into these categories, mine and each member of my team. And here's what I discovered, Johnny. Execution of the 30 criteria doesn't show up on my list until almost halfway down. I think 24 or 25. No, that's way beyond halfway. So way down there, there's no execution whatsoever of all of my attributes. Individualization, ideation, strategy, and I can't remember the last one. Those are all around that ideation concept. There's a little bit of activation, mobilizing and influencing. There is zero execution. So I looked at my team and we assessed it. We don't have a single individual on our team that has execution as one of their strong strengths. That not a single person on the team. What I discovered that I was incredibly guilty of was hiring people just like me. They were all under ideation. Some of them were under activation. None of them were under execution. None of them. Zero. My wife is almost 100% under execution and none of the other ones, which means my wife and I have a very happy relationship. But it means that when we try to communicate with each other, my ideation is not comprehensible to her because she's down here on execution. Her execution, when we first met, I would look at her Excel spreadsheets. I would walk into her cubicle. We happen to work at the same company. I would walk into her cubicle and my eyes would just like glaze over because I'm seeing this massive spreadsheet and then this massive PowerPoint of all of the execution steps. And I'm like, that's like voodoo magic to me. I can't even comprehend what I'm seeing. Well, we love each other and we complement each other. But when it comes down to actually trying to put a project together that we're both working on, it can be a challenge because I'm all up here in the clouds and she's all down there in the weeds. And she's like, get your head out of the clouds. And I'm like, lift your head up out of the weeds. And it causes a little bit of conflict. And on my team, one of the struggles we've had is by hiring everybody who's just like me. Yeah, we all have fun on a team call and we talk about ideas and everything, but who's actually going to do the work?
Yep.
And so those three are critical. And so he's using Clifton Strength Finder's foundational elements to help us understand and how to see each other. So that's what I've enjoyed about what I'm reading here.
I love it. And I think he's so spot on with it. And it's funny because what the whole story you just told, it could have just come out of my mouth. We could have basically just dubbed it to come out of my mouth because I'm exactly the same. I'm all wonder. I'm all invention. I don't care about any of the other ones, right? Like galvanizing, I hate. Like, right. So because we're getting into the six now, right? The ideation realm, the ideation sphere.
That's the fun part.
Yeah, wonder and invention. That's me. That's all I want to do. Wonder, invent, create. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. You know, I write fiction. Like I play games. That's me.
That's the fun part. That's the fun part where we're enjoying ourselves, right?
That's the fun part. This happened on the call, on a call today with my team. It's great. So the team had expressed about 2 months ago, like we really want. We had this exercise in our team meeting, our weekly team meeting. And Caleb, who's our operations manager, incredible dude, he said, all right, there's the question for the meeting. And I wasn't there. I had to not be there. But the question was, wouldn't it be awesome if? And one of the wouldn't it be awesome ifs that came out was, wouldn't it be awesome if it wasn't just Johnny as the face of the company, right? But if people kind of recognize the rest of us, because I'm a pretty big personality. I'm the one that's out with the whatever. So I thought to myself, oh, my team wants to be in the limelight, you know, like they kind of want to share some of the limelight with me. So we connect today to go back and see how we've done, right? Because I've been inviting the team to like book clubs and they don't come, right?
Right.
And so we get into it today and Caleb says, all right, how are we doing? And everybody's like, oh, it's great. It's awesome. It's incredible. Let me tell you what, and I'm like, what do you mean it's incredible? I'm still in the limelight. Y'all aren't up here with me. Like, what do you mean it's incredible? And what it was is I've handed off all my responsibilities and I've handed off my technical communication. Like any of the project related communication is totally happening with Lydia and Michelle now. And so they're happy as clams because I'm like, look, I thought y'all wanted to be invited up into the fun stuff. Lydia looks at me, I kid you not, she says, the fun stuff for me is talking to people and having them do what I ask them to do and respond to me. That's fun for me. Following details of projects.
They don't want to be on stage.
They don't want to be on stage. I heard it as they want to be on stage.
Yeah.
They don't want to be on stage. They just want to be recognized as if I reach out, then you listen to me and give me what I need instead of me having to tell Johnny to tell you to give it to me. And that is happening. I was blown away. I was like, how could I be so like,
Because you are in that one area, right? And it's a blip, right? They're in the weeds and you see that as weeds. What are you doing down there? You're
yeah.
in the clouds. They're like, man, is he not even paying attention to what's happening down here?
100%. I'm like, oh, they all want to come up into the clouds with me. Nobody wants to come to the clouds with me. They just want me to float in the clouds by myself and do
And pay it and call them out and say, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you and value what I see. Okay. I'm going to show you an example of what we did to address that very issue. My team, bunch of writers, they're almost, well, they all women, single women, and many of them are single moms.
Yeah.
And we create content in LinkedIn and write, and all of them have expressed a desire. I want to write a book someday.
Yeah.
And so at one point I said, okay, I will pay you to write your book. I will pay you time. I will then have the team be the editors for that. I will handle all the publishing. You get to write your book and I will pay you for it. It has nothing to do with our business. And so then we created what's called Bliss Point Press. And so if you here, I'm going to share my screen one more time. If you go out to Amazon and type in Bliss Point Press, up pops the books that Bliss Point Press has published. Well, there's mine, obviously. I've got a couple of books, but here's a member of my team, Leah, happens to be my oldest daughter. Yeah. Everything is your fault. Understanding the 6 pillars of unlocking your bliss life. I paid her to write this book. Here's another one, Bliss Point, but here's a member of the team, Scott Pfeiffer. He got to publish his book. Here is Sheena. She wanted to write a book. But she was hesitant because the book was very personal and her father wanted to read it and he was probably going to be in part of it. And she was not comfortable with that. So it was holding her back. I said, tell you what, why don't we write a different book, just any book? So she wrote one about the art of writing and she called it Drink Your Coffee and Write, a short and witty writer's guide. I paid her. I paid the team to edit it. We published it. And now she was able to show the book to her father, who was very proud, months before he passed away.
Wow.
And so she was able to achieve that. And so when you talk about helping your team, so there's some other Bliss Point stuff that I have no idea why it's here, but you can see these books that my company is publishing. Why? So that the team can feel heard and seen and visible. And I was able to help them do that. Now, I got to tell you, it was hard because none of us execute.
I know, right? I know it.
So we were having to like, okay, what's taking us so long? Well, this next step. Okay, who's going to take it? I don't know. And every team meeting was like that. Okay. And so execution is something that we discovered we lack. And if I do another hire,
yes,
I've got to hire somebody that I'm probably not going to get along with.
That's so right.
They're going to push me and they're going to want me to do things and they're going to be frustrated with my lack of execution. And I'm always coming up with ideas. Yeah.
So and you need that. And that tension is what creates energy, right? Like that tension where you have a person like that. I mean, that is my, I would, Caleb is my operations manager. He's very opposite to me.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. I mean, he's very concrete, very practical. He actually is pretty strong in the wonder side of things, but wonder and discernment. That's how I would diagnose Caleb, wonder and discernment, with a pretty decent dose of execution in there. And
it's that execution that you need, right?
Yeah. And he will take a shotgun to my rainbows. but he's learned, we have a consultant who's actually worked with both of us, because this was cool. Like when I brought Caleb up into this, operations manager / kind of COO track of the company, because we needed him. I also acknowledged that I had no idea how to shepherd or train a person up into being COO. I have no idea how to do that. I would never be good at that because I don't know that language. And so we hired a consultant who is who is a CO, like a high functioning COO, has that in his resume in his past. And so he meets with and has met with myself and Caleb. And so he helps me to understand how to become more tactical and more operational. And then he helps Caleb understand what it's like to work with a visionary. And he's caused us to have this incredible relationship.
Nice.
The translator, we completely needed a translator, you know? And
Yeah.
so Caleb, even when he shoots my, like when he takes a shotgun to my rainbows now, he's gentle.
Yeah, you're not taking it personal.
Yes.
Yeah. And I have, so my wife and I remarried. And so one of my daughters is an execution person, lots of execution. So when she's together with my wife and I, there'll be times we were playing a board game, and in the board game, whatever reason, I wasn't allowed to speak in this board game. And so I had to communicate with my wife with gestures and ideas. And she's like, I have no idea what you're saying. And my daughter, who's 31, was sitting there saying, no, dad needs this, this, this. He needs you to do this. He needs this from you. He needs that. As I'm like, and my wife's looking at me going, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And my daughter's acting as that translator in between. There's a great, speaking of board games, Johnny, there's a great game out there to actually highlight this very thing. It's called Code Names. I don't know if you've heard it.
I do know Code Names. It's an amazing game.
Because you have to communicate with a single word.
Yep.
To get in the minds. And my wife and I are terrible at this game. Terrible. But if her sister's on my team,
yeah.
Oh man, bam.
It's over.
We are locked in.
Yes.
Because her sister and I understand each other. Think when I watch my daughters play this game,
yeah,
they'll say some obscure thing, right? They'll say elevator 7. And because, right. So the word elevator is involved with 7 things. And I'm like, what is that? And my daughters are locked in. They're like, oh, boom, 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 boom. Like, how'd you do that?
Just get killed. You just get creamed when something like that happens in that game.
I love the game for teams to teach how people think differently about different things.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect game for that. Hey, I only have a few more minutes to spend with you.
This is perfect, actually. Yeah.
Is it?
This is 100% perfect. Yeah. I mean, this is what I wanted. It's just.
So you're going to record it. Where are we going to be able to share it? How are we going to tell people about this?
I usually share it through my newsletter, and then I
usually
drive people to it on LinkedIn. So
that'll work. And then when you're ready, give it to me and I'll throw it up on mine as well, my newsletter, and we'll do a joint newsletter thingy.
Oh, dude, I love it. Yeah, that's
kind of fun.
Wonderful. Yeah, I loved having you here. And I think this is good to get people interested in the book. So I think the book really can help people diagnose.
Well, I appreciate, right? You sent it to me and I've appreciated it and have enjoyed it. And I've added it to it moved to the top of my list of the books that you already saw. So I'm really looking forward to finishing it up. So thank you for that. Thank you for that gift.
Yeah, very much. All right. Well, thank you for coming. I think, we're at a half hour, so I think we can call it good.
Have a good 4th of July.
Enjoy, man. Have a great, I'm going out of town, so I'm gonna have a great time. You go ahead and have a great time yourself.
Travel safe. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.